How's it going, guys? Welcome back to another Spectre teaching. In today's video, we'll be covering on how we are going to find explosive trades within the market. Okay, so the pairs we will be using are Euro GBP and AUD NZD. So we will be focusing on these two pairs to determine relative strength. Now from there, we are going to pick our pairs to trade and understand which ones should provide low resistance markets. So let's get right into it. So here we have an example using the euro pound, right? So in the event that euro GBP is bullish, we want to focus on euro longs or pound shorts. Now the reason for this is simply because the euro is stronger than the pound. So if we're going to long an asset, we want to choose the one with the most strength. And if we are going to short an asset, we want to choose the weakest one, the one which should sell off much quicker and faster. So understanding that the euro is stronger than the pound makes sense to, for example, long euro JPY over GBP JPY, because we understand that the euro is much stronger, so it should get to its draw on liquidity much faster. Now, opposing this, if Euro GBP is bearish, we are going to focus on Euro shorts and GBP longs. In the exact same way that we use Euro pound is the same way we will utilize AUD NZD, right? So in the case that AUD NZD is bullish, you are going to focus on Australian dollar longs and New Zealand dollar shorts, okay? And if AUD NZD is bearish, you're going to oppose this. So we're going to focus on Australian dollar shorts and New Zealand dollar longs. Now, just to give another example, if we are looking at Australian dollar CAD and New Zealand dollar CAD and we want to short both pairs, the ideal one to pick would be Australian dollar CAD if AUD NZD is bearish. If AUD NZD is bullish, the ideal one to pick would be NZD CAD, because we understand that New Zealand dollar is a lot weaker than Australian dollar. Now, with all this information, let's see how we're going to apply this on the charts. Okay, so for the first example, we're looking at Euro GBP, right? So the euro against the pound. And as you can see in this daily fractal, we can see that price is trading from a daily discount to a premium, being this premium fair value gap. So we want to pay attention on this current range I'm highlighting, right? So the low from the 17th of April to the high being the 22nd of April. So this whole impulse move higher, we can see that the euro is much stronger than the pound because euro GBP is trading bullish. Okay, so what does this mean? This means if we are going to trade euro pairs, ideally we want to long them, right? If we are going to trade pound pairs, ideally we want to short them, right? So for example, if I was going to trade euro Australian dollar and I was looking to short that market, it would make more sense to short pound Australian dollar, right? GBP AUD, since we know that the euro is a lot more stronger than the pound and the pound is weaker, right? So this is how we're going to view relative strength. So with this in mind, we're going to go and take a look at euro AUD and GBP AUD, both short opportunities, but we are going to understand why pound AUD was the better option using relative strength. Okay, so here we are on Euro Australian dollar, and we're going to be focusing on that same time period, right? So from the 17th to the 22nd of April. So previously I showed you guys that euro pound was extremely bullish during this time period, and I'm going to show you how that would have affected this trade, right? So as you can see, we're on the 4-hour time frame and we have ran external range liquidity. We are currently trading inside of the premium of this dealing range. Okay, pay attention to this low. This low is going to be our draw on liquidity, which is Friday the 12th of April. Okay, you can see that price trades much lower and we eventually do run out that low, but pay attention to when it gets run. This low gets taken on the 26th of April. So actually outside of this window that we're talking about, right? But we can see that this was a very nice clean sell-off. But what if we could have got there much faster? We know that the euro is much stronger than the pound, and we know that the pound was relatively weak, right? Using relative strength. So what if we looked at GBP AUD rather than euro Australian dollar, right? Surely that would have provided a much cleaner sell, since we knew that the pound is much weaker than the euro. And in this case, we are understanding that the euro is weaker than the Australian dollar. So if the euro is weaker than the Australian dollar, but the pound is weaker than the euro, that must mean it is weaker than the euro and even weaker than the Australian dollar in comparison to the euro. Now that might be a lot to take in, but this will make a lot of sense when I show you guys the example, okay? So once again, we're paying attention to this low, which gets taken on the 26th of April, and we're going to have that same draw on liquidity on the next chart, except we're going to be looking at pound AUD. Okay, so now here we are on GBP AUD, right? So this again is the same time period we are highlighting, right? So from this marker to this marker is the 17th to the 22nd of April, okay? So again, similar scenario, we've traded higher. We didn't actually run external range liquidity on this example, right? But we understand that Euro AUD already has. So this is a SMT divergence, right? So Euro AUD made a higher high, whereas pound Australian dollar failed to make that higher high. So that already is one sign of weakness, right? That's one indication that pound Australian dollar is weaker than Euro Australian dollar, right? We would favor sells on the pound rather than the euro, okay? Now, going back to what I showed you guys on euro pound, okay? We understand that the euro was much stronger than the pound and the pound was weaker. So you can see when this asset does sell off, in comparison to euro, look how we just melt, right? There wasn't much opportunity for, price to pull back. In this time period, we just extremely dumped and we took out that range low, right? This is that same draw on liquidity. If I move a bit forward, here we are, Friday 12th of April, right? Except the low formed just a bit before on this chart, okay? So this is the exact same time period, but we understand that on the pound Australian dollar, we got there much quicker. We actually got there within this time window, right? Within these 5 days. Whereas on euro Australian dollar, we understood that we only got there on the 26th of April, right? 4 days later. So you can see how pound Australian dollar would have been the correct choice to sell, and how that was a low resistance market, as we knew the pound was weaker. And that is simply how you're going to use relative strength to find low resistance liquidity markets. Now, just to quickly reiterate, in case that was confusing, euro pound was bullish. What this tells us is that the euro is stronger than the pound and the pound is weaker than the euro. We then found a nice draw on liquidity on the euro Australian dollar chart. Okay, although we were favoring shorts on that chart, we understood that the pound is weaker than the euro, so it made more sense to have a look at pound Australian shorts rather than euro Australian dollar shorts. And that is simply all it is. It's a very simple concept that has elevated my trading, right? This is how you're going to find explosive moves in the market. And this is applicable across multiple pairs. It doesn't just have to be GBP AUD, Euro AUD. You can use this, using AUD NZD to find relative strength, and then choosing between AUD JPY and NZD JPY, right? There are many pairs you can utilize this on. All you are focusing on is the 2 pairs I gave you guys at the beginning of the video. Euro pound and Australian dollar, New Zealand dollar. Using those 2 pairs, you're going to find relative strength, and then pick which pair you're going to short or long to find your low resistance markets. That's all it is. So, with that being said, this does unfortunately bring the video to the end. I hope this teaching does help you. If there are any questions, feel free to comment down below and I will answer them as soon as possible, right? This is a very simple teaching once you understand it. At the beginning, it may be a lot to digest, but if you go and find chart examples and practice this and make sure you're fully understanding relative strength, then the charts become a lot clearer. Thank you guys for watching. I hope you guys enjoyed the content, and I will catch you in the next video.